Okay, let us now come to the first 130 experiment. In that we have the bifilar experiment. First, I will show you a schematic sketch of how the apparatus is going to look like. That it consists of. Let us see how the apparatus is going to consist of like this. So you are going to have two threads. So this is one thread here, and then you have another thread here. So two threads are used. It's a filament, you know, right? Filament means some kind of a very thin thread. Okay. So because two of the thin filaments are used like a thread, we say that this kind of pendulum is known as bifilar. Okay. Two filaments are there. That is how the name comes. And coming to what is that you are going to attach at the bottom, you can attach anything which is a symmetric object. You know what is meant by symmetric object means? Symmetric object means the mass of this particular the material that you are going to have should be uniformly distributed. That is the meaning. You should not have left half is very heavy and the right side half is somewhat lighter. Okay, that kind of object you should not use. That is the meaning. What I'm trying to say, symmetric. Symmetric means when you take the center point here, whatever is there to the right hand side, if you take the mirror image, that should be the left hand side. In terms of mass, density, etc. Mechanical, because we are talking about mechanics experiment. So in terms of the mass of the material, in terms of density of the material, they should be symmetric. Otherwise, this method will not work. So the kind of apparatus that you are going to hang, there is no restriction that what is the material that you are going to hang here. That is very interesting and important point. So because of this reason, you have the freedom of choosing whatever be the shape of the material that you want. You can take a circular rod, you can take a rectangular object, or you can take some kind of thick rectangular box kind of material. Any of the material you can choose, but the aim of the apparatus is to determine the moment of inertia. So for which material you want to, or which shape of the material you want to determine the moment of inertia, that object is the one that you are going to hang here. And when you are hanging, this kind of symmetry is present. That is a very important point. And the hanging should be horizontal. So there should not be any angle while you are making the hanging. So these are some of the points that has to be noted. And then let us see how the oscillation takes place. So this is the one that I have taken from some other video available from internet. Okay. So coming to the shape that I will show you later, but we are going to make a small oscillations and then we are going to measure the time period. So that's all about it. That the experiment is basically going to be simple. Let us see how we are going to make oscillation. So that I will show now. You just see the video. There won't be any audio. The oscillation is the very small oscillation that you are going to perform. That's what you have seen now. The center point is there, right? That will be the vertical axis. So as if there is an axis is there, it will behave like that. You push the right hand side to the inside and then you pull the left hand side to the outside. If you do like this, then this will oscillate about the central point. So that kind of oscillation is a very small oscillation, and about 5 degrees, it will oscillate about 5 degrees plus minus. And then that small oscillation is what you are going to maintain and then count for 10 oscillation or 20 oscillation and then take the readings. So this is the experiment that you are going to do. And the only thing is that once again, I'll just show you where the oscillation is. So experiment wise, this is the only small experiment that you'll be doing, and oscillation is also very small. You can't twist it too much. Okay, then totally it will not oscillate in a plane. It will go out of plane. So oscillation should be restricted to a plane. So because of that reason, the angle will be very small, 5 degree, 8 degree, that's all, less than 10 degree typically. And you have to try to measure for 10 oscillation if possible. 20 oscillation you can try, but what will happen is before 20 oscillation takes place, sometimes the oscillation itself will become zero. So it will stop. So therefore, typically 10 oscillation will be very good. Yeah, generally it will work nicely. And then you'll have to repeat this experiment for various length. Here you have the bipolar, the length is there. So you can change the length and then measure so that any errors will be averaged out. So this is how the apparatus is going to look like this. And then coming to the structure of the object that you are going to use, as I already told you, you can use any kind of structure. It can be a circular rod also. Circular rod means a rod of circular cross section. Okay, that's the meaning. And you can also use a rectangular bar, etc. So if you see in our laboratory, you'll be having this kind of material. Okay, we don't have a thin rod, but in our laboratory, we have a rectangular box or rectangular metallic box like structure. This is a metallic box, okay, made up of stainless steel. So this is how the bar is there, and then you are going to attach, and then you are going to hang it. So all the hanging and then the other things are same. Only thing is that if you want to hang here you will have to attach. So those attachment I have not shown. So here you will be provision is available so that you can, there is a hook available here, one hook here and another hook here, and then through this hook you can always connect 2 threads like this, and then that is being it is taken to a long length, of course. So this length you can take it to considerably long, and then you have the on the top you have this kind of fixing. So this is how it is there in our real laboratory, and therefore what happens is now this length should be fairly large. So this is the length of the thread that you'll have to take it reasonably a large value so that you allow for oscillation. If it is too small, oscillation will not be there. So once this is clear, the oscillation can be done in any style as you like. And then what is required now? Okay, once you finish the experiment, how to do the calculation? Now that depends on this. That depends on the structure that you are going to take. Now, since we have taken a rectangular box, kind of metallic bar here, we have some constants. As you can see here, you can see that the mass of the rectangular block is about 2.6 kilogram. And you also have some of the fixed values which you can measure. In practice, you'll be measuring this with a vernier caliper, and then the thickness of this with screw gauge, etc. But for the time being, as you are not going to do these numbers, you'll be taking directly. 17.4 centimeter is the length of the rod, and then the thickness is 2.11 centimeter. 11.6 centimeter will be the what you call, either you call the width or height, whatever you call it. So you have the 3 elements, right? Length, width, and height. So these 3 values in practice, if you are going to do the experiment in the laboratory, you have to use vernier caliper and then measure this, and then write down the least count, etc. All this calculation you will be doing. Okay, but now since you are going to take these readings and then learn how to substitute and get the answer, I am providing these numbers right away. So even 2.6 kilogram, actually in the laboratory, if you are going to come to the lab and do the experiment, you have to remove the screws here and then take it to a weighing machine and then measure this mass here. That is how you do in practice. But since now all the values are required for you to proceed to calculation, I am giving these numbers. So you have 3 numbers for the length, width, and the height, and then one mass is required here, and this is made up of stainless steel. So these are the values that you have, and using this, what to do next will be the formula that we are going to use it to calculate the moment of inertia. So once again, coming to the very beginning, that what is the kind of formula that you are going to use depends on what is the shape of the material. We have not taken a spherical ball, okay, but we have taken a rectangular box. So because of the shape, what happens is the formula will change. So that is a place that you should remember, that you can always use anything and then you have to change the formula every time. But however, in our laboratory, we have a rectangular box arrangement, and therefore you'll be using a particular formula. So that's what I would like to tell you. And let me show you that the variety of formulas that you can use for this experiment can be easily seen here from the basics of the moment of inertia. So let me go from the beginning and show. So you have the moment of inertia formula, which is well known, okay, which you can, you have a list of all formulas are there, but you are going to select one of them now for the given apparatus. So you have, we are not interested in this, as you already know. This is a single point mass which is going to revolve around in a circular path. Then the moment of inertia is given by mr square. No, we are not going to do experiment in this style, and therefore we don't want this. So similarly, you go one by one. We did not consider a rod with a circular cross section. So this is also we don't want. So we can also take this and oscillate. So that is how the experiment has a lot of freedom to do. And you can oscillate about various axes. I was telling, no, the central axis. That is how this one is the central axis. And you can also shift the axis to the side. So various possibilities are there to play around with this experiment. Now coming to the point now, since we have chosen a rectangular box kind of material, we don't want these formulas right now. So let us go further and further. So these are the various shapes for which moment of inertia is readily available. And this is a plate. If you are going to use a plate, then we can use this formula. And now, yeah, this is the one. So now you came to this particular, this is the correct one. So right now we want this, I think let me enlarge this little bit. Yes. So this looks like a rectangular box. It need not be metallic. Okay. We, in our lab, we have stainless steel material. You can use anything. You can use wooden box also you can use. It can be of any material, but it should be symmetric, homogeneous. That is very important. Okay, symmetric and homogeneous, you understand, right? One side of the material should not be very heavy. Other side of the material should not be very light. If the lightweight, that kind of mixture is there, then it is called non-homogeneous or inhomogeneous. Such kind of materials, they are not valid in this case. So the derivation of the moment of inertia requires that the material is a symmetric and homogeneous material. So if you are going to choose like this and we are going to put the central point, the oscillation is about the center point. You see that theoretically we draw a vertical axis and say that that is the omega axis. Omega means what? Angular velocity axis. That is the meaning. What is angular velocity means? It has to rotate. So that rotation is what we have done in an experiment by a small rotation about 5 to 10 degrees. Okay, it can of course rotate continuously for 360 degree. That is fine. But now in order to do the calculation, we need a time period of oscillation. For that purpose, we perform small oscillation. Large oscillation will not give you correct time period. It will give you nonlinear oscillation, and totally it will be a complete error will come into picture. So we need a linear oscillation. That is why we choose small angle like less than 10 degree. Okay, so now all these things is fine. Now which formula you are going to use is, since it is enlarged, yeah. So it is coming back here. So we are going to use the three formulas here. Now why do you want to have three formulas is that you have the freedom of choosing which axis. Now right now the axis is shown in blue color like this, but that is not the only axis. You have three freedoms are there. What are the three freedom is, instead of this vertical axis, you can also go like this horizontal axis. That is from here, you go parallel to the surface. You go parallel to the top surface. That is another axis. What is it? That is the second option. What is the third option? Third option is from the center, you can come out like this from the front face. From the front face, you can come out of the plane. Okay, that axis is there, right? So there are three axes are there. So this looks like Z axis for you. So similarly, X axis is there. Similarly, Z axis is there. So that is why you have three formulas for the moment of inertia. So moment of inertia about an axis, whether you call X, Y, Z, whatever name is there, that you can call. But in the Wikipedia, they have given in terms of parallel to the height, parallel to the width, and parallel to the depth. That is the meaning. H means height, right? So this is the meaning of height of the box. So you will be using this formula, same formula we will use in our experiment also. So that is the some introduction we need. And of course, there are many more materials are there depending on what kind of material you have various formula. Okay, anyway, we don't want them. So this is the point to be noted, that whatever you learned in the theory, the derivation of moment of inertia, that concept will be used here for the determination of moment of inertia. Okay, this I will close now. So once this is clear, you are going to oscillate now because this is the fixed plane. These are the two threads and you are going to oscillate about this. You can remove this and then rotate it by 90 degree. Okay, rotate it by 90 degree means what? How it looks like. I'll just show how it looks like. It will look like this, right? Sorry, it doesn't look nice. The appearance will be changing, right? So that will be the appearance will be like this. So once you remove the screws, it will be like this. So of course the remaining thing you can always construct, and then you have the screws. There will be provision is there for a hook here. So you have to do it manually. I mean, in the laboratory, if you come, you have to remove the screw and then put the hook here. And then of course this will be the place where you will be hanging and it will be oscillating like this direction. So that means you are going to change the configuration, right? You see this is the length. So now this length was there and it was oscillating in this direction. Of course, oscillation is there like this way. And after finishing the experiment, you have to do the experiment like this. And you have one more way of oscillating. What is the 3 ways of oscillation is there, right? So this is one way. I'll write here 1. This is one way of doing the oscillation. This is the second way of doing the oscillation. And the third way is there to do the oscillation, which you can imagine what it is. It is a larger, so this one. So where the bigger place, this diagram is not coming easily. Okay, I'll show like this. So if you can imagine this, so now the height has come here. So that's what I'm trying to say. So this is another configuration where now you'll have to put the hook here, and then take the thread. And that's all about it. And then do the oscillation like this. So these are the 3 ways of oscillating this apparatus. And that is why you have the 3 formula for the moment of inertia that you saw from the Wikipedia. So the same formula we are going to use in the experiment. You have to do the experiment 3 times. You have to do for each one for one configuration. We say that this colored diagram is first configuration. This is the second configuration, and this is the third configuration, the last one. And then you have to fill the tabular column saying that number of oscillation made is 10. For 10 oscillation, this is the time taken. Therefore, for 1 oscillation, how much time is taken. So once you finish this calculation, and then you make use of these constants. The constant is this mass of the material, length, width, and height. That's all about it. And you substitute in that formula, you'll be getting the moment of inertia. So coming to the experimental wise, this is quite a simple experiment. Only thing is you have to make sure that the oscillation is small oscillation and planar oscillation. Planar oscillation should be restricted to a plane. It should not go above and come down. That kind of thing should not happen. Then a lot of error will come, and ultimately you'll be having more error when compared to the correct answer. So that's all. That is the overall idea about the bifilar pendulum actually. And so you'll be doing 2 calculations. One calculation based on your experimental data. That is what we say experimental result. The second calculation is direct calculation using the Wikipedia formula. In fact, you can ask the question, why do you want to do the experiment? So you don't have to do any experiment. Take the Wikipedia formula and substitute m equal to this much and length equal to 17.4 and then width equal to 2.11. You get the same answer. So that answer is what we call the theoretical answer. That means moment of inertia by theoretical method. Then the second one is moment of inertia by practical method. Practical method means you perform the time period. You first of all calculate the time period of oscillation, and from there you calculate the moment of inertia. And then you compare these 2 values. So the theoretical value is supposed to be the accurate one or whatever exact value. And when compared to the theoretical value, how much is your practical value? Then you can tell what is the difference. And that difference is what we call the error. Okay, typically errors is okay. 5% error is typically acceptable, and anything of that kind is fine. Okay, so because you should have the accurate answer, only then you can compare, right? That accurate answer, or we say that the perfect answer is what is the answer obtained by the substituting into theoretical formula, which you saw in the Wikipedia. Of course, both formulas are given in the manual, so you don't have to worry about it. All the formulas are given. The practical formula is also given. The theoretical formula is also given in the manual. Okay, then. So anyway, the material is already sent you. At least you have to work out once, so that in the examination, suppose I give you another set of number instead of 17.4 centimeter and 2.6 kilogram. If I give another set of number, you should know where to substitute and get the answer. For that purpose, at least you have to work out what I have sent you in the yesterday. Okay, that and then you have to submit the record. By doing that submission, what is the advantage? Means you are actually learning how you are manipulating the numbers and where you are substituting. Those things you are actually learning. That's all. And the same thing will come for the in-semester exam also. And once this is clear, we will go to the next experiment, namely the determination of thermal conductivity of a good conductor.